Yeah, some people want you touch them, pursue them, you know. They can't want money, but we not touch them. Point on them and tell them, see people, business and living. Hallelujah. Can we sing that song out the one? Come musician. Give me a bit seat up on the every show. Everybody, so that minister tonight, they do an excellent job. And you people have to keep on the prayer. Thank you for the support. Hey! One of the people support the CD, them downstairs. All of the people, all of the singers, them. I'll see them. People now produce gospel music, so when they don't support it, then we can do new songs. So buy a CD, man. If you have it already, buy it and give somebody at the workplace for a gift. And they have a special deal if you buy the 3 album. I'm coming down. Big up the musician, them one rehearsal and then do a good job. Only mountain now. Whoa, whoa, whoa. God bless you tonight. I have been through tribulation. Yo, some people never know say you're going to listen tonight, you know. I have been through persecution. Put up in our men, sis, all the still alive. Tell them, thank God I cross more are some people when most of them cross. Just stand up and say, holy cross. Yo, let me tell you something. Jesus said when you send up the praises, the blessing of the pour down. Listen, we'll leave our home. Come here tonight to worship Jesus. So the master they want to sweat up and wet up, just worship Jesus. Because some people never know you're going to see today. Some people never know say you will be here tonight. Tell them say you're not here by chance. You are a purpose. You have been tribulation. Holy Ghost, I love you, Jesus. You have been through persecution. I don't see a put up here and let them say, thank God I cross over. We are going to put a cross tonight. Hold me cross over. this life, me trial were many. Some of the time them me know say be a fire in the air now. So no go say we people do, no go sing it like how me sing it. Here in a feet. Yeah, can't be a foreign people there. Me I bring Jamaica from my jersey, so me I sing the Jamaica way. And sometime me foot them get weary. Oh, and it feel like I would stumble. I know them are gonna see so. Me know them are gonna say fall. But sometimes when my problem come in a fall, you know me know. And it feel like I would stumble and drop a grave. Me know myself, but the jail and leave me. I wish some people that just feel the presence of God tonight. Some people just shout out and warm up your mouth. I said, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Jesus. On the journey to lands that lead me. Put up your hand and say, lead me, Jesus. It's the hand that lead me steady. You see, I want it power, I want it for some millions. Oh, scar. Nothing wrong with that. Put up on hand tonight and say, Jesus, give me grace that I would make it after all. Can you walk me about and sing? And after all, it's just who you man, just who you man, who you man, who you man, who you man, who you man. Holy Ghost, I love you, Jesus. Big one in this life. Me try and make any holy. Some of the time, me forget get weary. And it feel like I will suffer and trip on road. Holy Ghost, I love you, but the jail. So last I leave Jesus, it's God that keep me. Put up in our message, give me grace that I will make it. Can I see some Holy Ghost people sing? And after all, this life is over. I'm awake for you. When that Jesus is gone, I climb upon the mountains of
And good night to you, Grenada, Carriacou, and pretty Martinique, the rest of the Eastern Caribbean. Wherever you're listening, locally, regionally, internationally, we say a special good night to each and every one of you. Hope that you all have been having a wonderful day thus far. Well, into the night, you all a wonderful night thus far. Well, actually, it's not night yet, it's 8 o'clock, so it's evening. I think night time officially starts at 9, I think, yeah. So right now it's evening. Sure my wells are right or wrong. Good night to you, Auntie Sherms. Good night to all the listeners joining us via We Noise Radio and One Soca out there in Brooklyn. Good night to you, Wade. Good night to you, buddy. Good night to all listeners via those mediums. Also, we say a special good night to all of you joining us via the Facebook, all of you joining us via the YouTube. We will shortly be doing the roll call. Yes, indeed. And let me also say a special good night to all the listeners via the Facebook. Let me see who's there. Walan Akwat, good night to you. John Mark, Maureen Samuel, Wendy Ann McGuire, Errol Bonaparte, Rebecca Stafford, Devon Charles, Yvonne Roberts, Antonito, good night to you. Olive McKeown, Laslyn Douglas, Cynthia Collins, Winnie Simon, Cynthia B, Junior George, Anna Lewis, Sherms Houston, good night to you. Good night to you, Esther Peters. Yvonne Courtney, yes, a blessed good night to you as well. Tegua. Dear Loftus Bethel, good night to you. And let me see who's on the YouTube. Good night to you, Alban Harris. Vanessa Lalji, Anna, good night to you. Gillian Noel, good night. Agnes Henry, Bernadette Joseph. Deborah Flanders, good night to you. Yes, and Patrick East in the house. Kathleen Ledlow, Joyce Lois, Patsy Frank, Hillary Joseph, Dalton Strawn, John Stafford Sky, Carb Spice Fitness, Anastasia Peterson, Faith Lynn Hallie Douglas, good night to you. Roslyn Jones, Rodney Barry, Dolores Redhead, Sherma Alexandria, Adrian Watts, good night to you. Cindy Thomas, Moko Joseph, good night to you. And my good friend, Moko Pin. Jacket Man. Sherma Jeremiah. Lord, my little Sherma, my little friend go vex with me, we? Right, tell Uncle Shalom go talk to us soon. Claude Abraham, Jackie Raymond, Deborah Laborde, Amanda Moses, Christine Alexander, April Fletcher, Baby Daddy, Jefferson Hagley, Renee Zadi, Velma Pascal, good night to you. Antonito, good night to you on this medium. Chris London, yeah, the soldier. Chris, I see you in there. What, your jet lag? Errol Bonaparte, Ron Julian. Ron, welcome back. I was on since last week Wednesday. You just seen us tonight. We was on Wednesday and Thursday. Ashma Charles, Anna Andrews, Jenny Samuel, Gavin Thomas, Leroy Dominic, Jenny Samuel, good night to you. Veronica Louis Alexander, Francis George, Joan Henry, Carnis Peters, good night to you. Kathleen Knights, good night to you as well, my dear. Yeah, folks, let's get it cracking. And tonight we will have Leader of His Majesty's Opposition, the Honorable Emlyn Pearce. She will be on with us for a bit tonight. I've got to call her and get her in. Yeah, she's up and down, you know. No, not all the time we'll get her sitting at the camera and so on. Sometimes we have to get her in the vehicle, on the road, in a meeting. Yeah, so we have to find her on the road tonight, yeah? but we know she'll be on with us.
That silver or gold, I'd rather be his than not
Pastor Lois, good night to you.
untold.
Pastor Casimir. All the other pastors who silently listen to the program on a nightly basis, we say a blessed good night to each and every one of you as well. The same way you all pray God's blessings upon everyone, we pray it upon you tonight. Yeah, and it seems we already have our first caller for tonight. Let's go to the phone lines. Hello.
Good night, Mr. Scott.
Hey, how you doing?
Lando me and Pierre to be on tonight, me political leaders, so I say let me call and say good night.
You call early and get through.
I call early because I doesn't get you. I'm not calling again, getting you.
What do you mean?
But
When they're
before you
on?
start anything, I want to ask a question tonight. Before you start anything,
Uh-huh.
I understand the government have some money to pay some people. Some people that they treat unkindly. Some look at you remember the woman they had working in the ministry?
Oh, you're speaking about CJs.
It's CJ, that's correct, CJ. Even those in Carriacou.
Mm-hmm.
But when I listen Prince tonight, this government, that prime minister we have here, this man is a killer, you know. He kills slowly. Take what I'm telling you. He talk about about Dr. Mitchell take the cabinet and bring it into his office. Yeah? And you come back and do the same thing?
Well, trying to understand. Wait a minute, you take the cabinet and bring it into the office? I don't understand.
No, okay then. You remember the cabinet when NMP was in power, they won the 15th seat.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he moved the parliament to the cabinet or something like that.
I have no
Right?
idea. I have no idea what you're talking about. I never heard the accusation. Parliament is parliament. Hold on.
Yes.
We you know,
And
like to
the cabinet members.
Uh-huh.
You remember right? The cabinet members, because NMP they win all the 15 seats.
Uh-huh.
So they run the office through his ministry to the prime minister thing there. To the prime minister ministry.
Let me clarify several things here. One, cabinet is cabinet, parliament is parliament.
That's correct.
People become cabinet members through parliament
That's
with the exception of two possibilities. Two people can be a member of cabinet without being parliamentarians. Hold on. No, listen. The only two people who can be cabinet members without being parliamentarians are the cabinet secretary and in some cases the attorney general, because not in all cases is the attorney general a senator or a government minister. So somebody may be taken from private practice and be made the attorney general. So those are the only other two people who can be in cabinet but not be part of parliament. Parliament is a separate creature in itself from parliament. Cabinet is one thing. Cabinet may, for instance, legislation may be drafted by the Ministry of Legal Affairs, the legal drafting unit. It then comes to cabinet. Cabinet makes a final decision. Yes, we're going to go with that to parliament or so on. They would make the final decision before it's submitted to go into parliament. So when you hear the prime minister and his minions trying to give the impression that when it comes to those bills we've been speaking about recently, that was an NMP thing. No, it had to actually go to their cabinet before it was submitted to parliament. It was not submitted to parliament by the New National Party. We've been out of office over 3 years now, so it's not been submitted by the NNP. So
that's what it is, man.
I still am sort of lost in relation to what was being said there. Probably have to go and listen over to understand the angle they were coming from. But I am a bit lost there. I must say that I am. Yeah.
That's what there is a killer. This man is a killer. He trying to see who will give the Dr. Mitchell bad name and he could get the credit.
Well, what
and do the same thing.
I think I may have catch on to what you're speaking about. You're speaking about where he was claiming that CJs was should have been operating through that he was making a set of nonsensical statements, which have been the court has proven that he was talking nonsense anyway because they've lost that case. So the court has
That's
proven
correct.
that what he was talking was nonsense because he was talking about some kind of cabinet parliament, some kind of nonsense he was saying. But the courts have proven that what he's saying is nonsense. And it's not the last case they're going to lose. Before they leave office, they have quite a few more that they are going to lose, I can guarantee you. Not just those in Carriacou, like our good friend Louisa, who is celebrating a birthday tonight. Louise Joseph,
Yeah.
Lulu, out there in Carriacou. She's celebrating a birthday tonight, one of the Carriacou 5. And so we send our birthday greetings to her. But yeah, just to let you know, they have a few more court cases they're going to lose.
But
Guaranteed.
Sheldon, you think they will come and see these people, the government?
They had no choice but to compensate the Carriacou 5. They had to pay them. And they had to pay them quick too. They had to pay them.
And what about the human children?
What about
And the human children? The lady children?
the CJ's issue?
Yeah, what about human children?
There are some aspects of that I need to clarify before I delve into it. I know that a judgment was handed down through the High Court and the government lost. I know for a fact
That's correct.
that charges were levied against the government. They had to pay CJs and they had to pay damages, they had to pay lawyer, etc. All these things. The government of Grenada had to pay that. Now remember, the government could always appeal, so it may not be the end of it yet.
Okay.
The government may just decide to be stubborn and decide that they're going to appeal.
Okay. All right.
So we don't know what is the end of, if this is the end of it yet. There's a period of time within which they have to appeal. So let's wait and see if the government appeals this case within that space of time, or if they don't appeal and they just go ahead with the judgment and they pay. I didn't delve into it last week, even though I have the judgment, because I'm waiting to see what move the government would be making on this one.
Right.
Yeah, so that's why I didn't speak on it yet.
Well, let me take good night again to all to me and the fans, and then we get ready for Sunday. I think they're going to put Sunday to is Binance?
No, that's not Sunday, brother. That's Wednesday.
Wednesday. Sorry, Wednesday.
That's Sunday. Wednesday. You understand people wrong place, wrong day.
Wednesday.
Papa, you.
Yes, sorry. Mistake it to me. I want to say Wednesday, I say Sunday. I also Monday, Sunday in my head.
Yeah.
So I just want to say, it's time that we put all the information outside there. A lot of people outside there dying for information.
Yes. Don't
They're
worry,
concerned. They want to know what's going on in this country because we don't hear nothing from the government. Government telling us nothing. We only know they're getting money and we don't hear what they're doing with the money. We don't hear where the money going.
Yeah.
So we want to know what's going on.
Talking Points is back on, and you realize we're nearly back to how we originally were. We are a lot cleaner, we are a lot clearer, and you're hearing us good. No noise in the background, nothing. We're good to go.
True.
Yeah?
All right, brother.
All right. So thank you so very much, my bro.
Yes, and I see to listen to my political leader.
All right. We'll be getting in contact with her shortly. All right. You have a good one. It's beautiful.
All right.
Yes, folks. Yeah, speaking of one of our usual callers there. Yes, folks. And we'll be making contact with the political leader of the New National Party in a short while. And just to let you know, remember, it is coming up this Wednesday, and that is going to be taking place in St. Andrew Northwest, in Bylands in particular, and it starts from 6:30. For those of you in St. Andrew, and I'm not just saying St. Andrew Northwest, St. Andrew Northeast, St. Andrew Southeast, St. Andrew Southwest, all of you, I think I was saying, I think I was calling the wrong thing last week, Right, so all of you, the opportunity is there. You need to head on up to that particular meeting. We've got a call online. Hello, good night. Hello,
good night, Mr. Sheldon Scott.
the lovely Camille Teresa Scott. How you doing?
Well, I couldn't get through, but I had a little problem with me television. So good night to all Grenadians and home and abroad.
I hope they come and get the cocoa before they go back.
Well, yes, they come in, thank God.
Lovely.
A
That's
little
what we
time I
want.
didn't call because I know you say you had little problem and thing, and then I had a problem with me television.
Oh dear, yeah. I know that has happened every now and
With
again.
with flow, they come and organize me back.
Lovely.
Anyhow, Mr. Scott, I'm very disturbed with somebody people just come and drop $1 or $5 for you.
Mm-hmm.
A lady come and she telling me make sure I want another listening. I want them to know I've been collecting little donation over the years
Mm-hmm.
and you will get it.
Well,
You
Cammy,
will get it.
let me say it
No,
for you. Before they
listen.
leave you this call.
I call and let you know.
Mm-hmm.
A lady that's living in Victoria that sells jacks. Last week, she left $10.
Mm-hmm.
You have another lady from St. Jude Street. She was coming by water in the morning. The water is $4. She was give me 5. She just said the next dollar, give a child.
Right.
I does that. So I want them to stop spoiling my good name. Camille TV just cut. I want anybody leave anything here for Sheldon Scott or for anybody that's sick and you ask for a donation, they don't get it.
Or Real
A lady
FM,
come,
anything.
yes, a lady come again. She don't want she name call. She from Carriacou today and she leaves something there.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them just come and they leave $5. But two people that leave something there. A lady today and the lady from Victoria that sell the jacks.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But there are some people that are going around saying when they drop thing you don't get it. If all you know and telling me make sure you get it. If all you know he doesn't get it, don't bring it, come and leave it by me.
Others get it.
Don't
Let
bring
me
it.
tell all you, others get it.
Yeah. I want nobody spoil Miss Camille old name. Don't call me because I personally just buy things for when children passing. I buy a case of juice, I buy the jello, and you could ask anybody. Mothers, they don't know me. I give a child. I give an old person a drink. So don't spoil my name. I will take that one. So you get it clear. Because anything I need, I'll call my son in America. I'll call my daughter in River Road. Now she can't say it like, but she will come.
Mommy is mommy, you know.
And
Mommy is always
yes,
mommy.
and if I call Peter David, I don't want to be ashamed. If I call Peter David, I say, boss, think about it, me, business day today. He sent me grandson named Bubbles and send me money for me to buy me case of water. Or you don't call me name. Stop it. Stop it. I don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyhow, good night to Patricia. Good night to Mr. Watts. And good night to Darlington and Sheila in America. Also to my son, God, Anthony Scott. Your mother is all right. I get my TV back on. So good. And I bring breadfruit, I bring tea, and I share today out of my garden. So don't spoil me good name, please.
Yeah, you don't do
All
that.
my
Don't do
friends
that.
and children.
Yes,
Tell them. I don't like it.
No. I'll tell them, and anybody that I see and I know, I'll tell them.
If they
because
don't want to give, don't give.
without you
If-
even coming off, I don't want you come off yet. I want to say
Yeah,
it while
if
you're
all you
on.
don't want to,
When
if all you don't want to put nothing in the bottle, do not come and don't lie on me.
no, let me say
Because that's not easy to deal with, you know.
Okay.
I just straightforward woman.
we understand. Camille, let me say
Yeah.
it. Let me say it as well. If anybody
Good night to
pass
Miss
by
Pierre.
before,
Good night to Miss Emily Pierre.
Yeah.
I hear a police tell me that they push her husband to resign. But anyhow, they're doing my good. God is good. God is good. A police that come and tell me they force him to resign. They say he's a threat to national security. So I don't know how he could be a threat. Anyhow, God is good. He go eat, he go drink.
of course.
Have a blessed night. Dr. Mitchell, good night, sir. I love you. Good night to everybody who's listening to me. My TV come back on and everything. And I thank God.
Beautiful. All
And
right,
Kathleen
Gabby.
Ledlow, good night. Good night, Kathleen. Carlton, pass and look for me. And tell Sister Aggie I say happy birthday in advance. Bye bye.
All right, Gabby.
Bye, Sharon.
Bye bye, Gabby. Let,
So somebody did something for you, and the lady say it's for the sick child. The
okay,
lady
in
from
St. Mark.
Carriacou.
In St. Mark. Okay.
Yes,
Yeah. So
yes.
I'll contact them
Bye bye.
and I'll talk to you. Yeah. Great.
Yes, but
Yeah.
talk to me first, you know.
Yeah, no, no, no. You know I will talk to you. Yeah.
All
All
right.
right. Yeah.
Because I won't give them if I don't know them. Bye bye.
All right.
Good night.
Oh Lord. Yes, indeed. Now, folks, let me let you all know. If you pass and you leave 25 cents day, I just get a call from Cammy. Yeah, the only way I will not immediately get a call from Cammy, she phone had to be dead, or she may not have credit on the phone, and she wouldn't go and say, well, let me use and put no. She'll wait until she make her own thing and put whatever she had to put on the phone and call. And I'll take this call, then I'll hold on calls because I need to get the political leader on. So after this call, which I'm going to have very briefly, I'm going to, after call, get the political leader on. It's time for her. Go ahead, right, caller.
Yeah, good night, brother Sheldon. How are
Hey,
you?
I am fine, man. You go right ahead.
Yeah, Sheldon, I come take about cuckoo or buy cuckoo from Kami sometimes. Kami,
You're coming on, boss.
when it please,
Don't just come and say buying cocoa. Just let people know the cocoa is the best cocoa you could possibly find.
yeah, one of the best, but it is the best cocoa.
Yeah, man.
Alright, I wonder when they come in, I wonder what $10 worth of cocoa. Alright, and Sheldon, I'm worried because within, I think, the next 2 weeks or 2 weeks and some days, school will be opening.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned about the children of closure. They have to go to school,
All right,
and some
we
they
gonna be
are
having a
teach people.
discussion just now in relation to that. Don't worry.
Yeah, I'm concerned about that.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so that what I have to see what is then. Alright,
No
so I'm
problem.
listening to our political leader.
All right, my brother. No problem. You have a good one.
Alright, you
Yes,
too, man.
folks. It is time for me to make contact with our political leader. So let me just take a nice one here while I do that. Yeah. All right, folks. I think I should have our political leader on with us. Hello, good night.
Good night, Sheldon. Good night to all your listeners. Good night to you.
Like I get you when you stop. I ain't get you in the vehicle this time.
I am never too busy to give you a quick opportunity to engage.
Honorable political leader, how has it been going? We have not spoken on air for the past 2 weeks or so. How has it been going?
Well, of course, I'm happy you said on air because we have been speaking quite
No,
often.
we just letting people know we business, but we always talking.
Yes, but I want to say this. Of course, we've had a very peaceful carnival season in Grenada. And quite a number of people visited from overseas, the diaspora, and they were here along with our locals. And I am extremely happy that there are not many incidences as it relates to crime and violence. And I want to commend the Royal Grenada Police Force for keeping safe our people and for protection and for all the hard work that they've been engaging during this period. It's very important, and during festive seasons, whether it's Christmas or Carnival or whatever season where we have large number of persons congregating and coming out in different activities, that we want to know that at the end of it all, family, friends, neighbors, people in general are okay, right? I also want to use the opportunity, Sheldon, um, to commend the new National Party team. I don't know if you observed it, but in the build up and lead up to the season, which sometimes, you can have quite a number of incidences. And when we saw what was happening prior to the launch of the carnival season and thereafter, the New National Party took a decision that we were going to do everything possible to encourage people, to stay away from crime, violence, and to, manage themselves in such a way that they respect their own lives and the lives of others. And so you notice that quite a number of our caretakers were engaged in that initiative, where we were promoting safe fun. Yes, you can have fun, but do so in a safe environment. You going out to have fun, you don't need to walk with a weapon. Somebody mash your toe, you don't need to shoot them down. And I really want to commend the members of the team, and those messages receive very positive feedback throughout the length and breadth of Grenada. And I remember one of the persons who, I don't know if you saw the video that I did, one of the persons who were in the video, I think he attracted so much attention because he's known to be a carnival lover. And, so persons, when they engaged with me about the video, they will also ask me, do you know him? Do you know Dwayne? And I really want to commend the entire team because I believe that would have also had a very positive impact on the activities and people's engagement during the season. So all in all of those who have been involved in keeping people safe and encouraging people, to tone it down as it relates to the kind of behavior that are not socially acceptable. I just want to place on record this particular appreciation, right? And of course, the feedback as it relates to some of the activities and so on and so forth. I believe that, and I trust that there would be serious national conversation as it relates to some of those and the future. But the thing that I'm most appreciative of, as I said before, is generally it was a safe period. Generally speaking, the officers of the Royal Grenada Police Force who have worked so hard to maintain a secure peaceful country during this period, and of course all of those who have been involved, and I've seen specifically the leadership of the New National Party in that regard, and other organizations. I have also seen, for example, the police, some private sector companies. I can't say that I've seen anything seriously from government. I don't want to say they did not, but those organizations and departments that have really been involved in encouraging, I want to commend because this is so very important. Yeah.
And I must say that this is the new national party in character because
Mm-hmm.
it is not the first time that you're hearing the members of the party putting out these sorts of messages. Even before, long before the carnival season,
Of
long
course.
before these sort of things, you had these sort of positive messages coming out. And to
Mm-hmm.
see the amount of them that came out just before, because before we
Mm-hmm.
closed off, we were playing those that were out by that point in time. You had one out, Jelani had one out, I know
Mm-hmm.
Nolene had one out, I believe Manda had one out, and so on. So we were
Mm-hmm.
playing those different messages, and so it is totally in character of the new national party and their caretakers when you see those sort of
Mm-hmm.
things coming out, which is why I believe it was more effective because people know this is who you really are. So it's not you
Mm-hmm.
putting on airs, it is you being who you really are, genuinely interested in people being safe, having a good time in a good way, but being safe and remembering that there is a tomorrow after the carnival.
Of course,
Yeah.
definitely. And as I said, it really doesn't matter, Sheldon, in government or opposition, we play our role anything that has to do with national development, anything that has to do with the interests and the well-being of our people, we take that rather seriously, and that is why out of government we took, we took on that role, because we recognize what was happening. I mean, if you follow the trend of what was happening weeks leading up to the carnival, we couldn't sit back and just assume that it would be that way. But we felt that we needed to add our voices to the conversation out there, and hence the reason we went out of the way to take on that campaign as it relates to the festive season and activities.
Yeah, and especially when we see some of what is going on in some of our sister territories right now as obtains to violence. We don't want to get to that state. I know in one territory over the weekend, there was shootings within the capital city itself, innocent people being, including children, women, all sorts of things. And I'm speaking about right within the Eastern Caribbean, that you had that sort of thing taking place, two separate shootings. So you had about 7, 8 people shot overall, 2 dying, all sort of things. And we don't want to see, we don't want to hear those sort of stories coming out from anywhere, but we definitely don't want it coming out from our country. So we have to nip it
Well,
in the bud.
definitely. And that is why old people would say when your neighbor's house is on fire, you got to be wet in yours. And so is the reason I might begin to sound, if I have not yet started sounding like a recurring decimal, that we need a strategic approach to address the issue of crime in our country. We need a serious strategic approach. A couple weeks ago, I had an official visit from a regional organization coming to engage. They engaged the prime minister, they engaged the opposition leader, and I had with me a small team. I can specifically mention I invited Brother Nimrod Oliver and Brother Francois, former Deputy Commissioner of Police, to join me for that engagement. And it's so interesting. Here is someone at the regional level coming to ask the input of the opposition leader and the Prime Minister of Grenada and other stakeholders for the development of a regional strategic plan to address the issue of crime within the region. And as I said then, I feel very strongly that this has to be a bottom up approach. Because if we're speaking about addressing crime in Grenada, who knows it most than the people on the ground in Grenada? And while, yes, a regional plan would address certain sectors or certain areas, right? A comprehensive plan is needed at the national level. We did it before, it has worked in the past, and of course this we can say is many years ago, but what we need to do now is to review and amend and to upgrade and to ensure that it is more fitting for the current situation, right? Because what was happening back then is a bit different to what is happening right now. So the issue of gun violence is a major issue right now, and so any strategic plan must seriously address that particular issue, the source, right? Where is it coming from? How is it getting here? All of those issues need serious intervention. And so I am very concerned that we are taking this very lightly and we are going to allow ourselves to get to a point where, when we speak about a point of no return, when it becomes so difficult to pull things back or too difficult to pull it back. And again, I'm saying, and I'm going to keep saying it, I'm going to continue to say it, we need our stakeholders locally, led by the government of Grenada. The Minister for National Security has a responsibility. And so, with stakeholders, and the Royal Grenada Police Force is a stakeholder. Sometimes you hear language that is frightening, because the impression is that the problem of crime is a Royal Grenada Police Force responsibility. No,
No, no, no,
it
no.
is the leadership of this country that has the responsibility, with the Royal Grenada Police Force as a stakeholder, just like every other support authority, for example, is another stakeholder. right? The church community is another stakeholder. With all of these stakeholders together in a strategic approach, it is the only way, and I say it is the only way that we would get the kind of results that we would wish for if we don't do something before it's too late. So I don't want to go off on crime. I have a bit of a passion
Because
there.
and
So I
I'll just close it by saying this. It is the new national party that held a crime consultation back in, was it 2023? 2023 or 2022, 2023. It was the new national party that held that crime consultation. I believe it was at the National Stadium, where you had all the different stakeholders coming together to discuss
no,
that
that was
particular,
actually at the it was actually at the youth the what you call it, the trade center.
the trade center,
Um
right?
the trade center. And that's why I say I get very passionate about these conversations, because when you think back of what was happening at the time, and when you look at what is happening now, you ask yourself, what is wrong with just using best practices? It doesn't matter if it was a different administration. If it worked, it worked. Let's just use what worked and improve on it. So you're using what worked, but you can have an improved version. No problem with that. And you probably don't even have to mention our name. You can just use the best practice and improve on it. That's all we are saying. Because you think crime doesn't know color, it doesn't know party. And I always use Trinidad and Tobago as an example when I speak about this, because I'm fearful that the approach that we are taking, is going to get us to the point where we are going to one day say we should have done. I do not want us to get to a point where we look back and we say, if we knew that it would get to this, we should have done this. Now is the point where we should, right? And I believe when you look at Trinidad and Tobago right now and their situation with crime, 20, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, I don't believe they would have ever imagined that Trinidad and Tobago would be in the situation they're in right now.
Well, I
And that
can
is why
tell
I'm
you,
saying,
when I was young and in Trinidad, when a murder took place, it was a big thing. That was front every newspaper. They used to have the evening news. If it happened in the morning, it would be out in the evening newspaper, front of the news on TV, and so murders take place and newspapers don't even bother reporting them these days. It has
yeah.
gotten to that
And
stage
that's
that
why
they're desensitized.
I'm appealing to this administration to take this matter far more serious than they're demonstrating that they're taking it. This is too important for the future of this country. It is too important. Grenada is a safe haven. That is what we've been known to be. That is what we are. We probably still one of the safest places in this region, this hemisphere. And I'm saying we don't want this to change. But we have to be proactive if we have to maintain the peace and stability that we are known for. It doesn't just happen like magic. And people who lead Grenada now have to understand this is not something that just happens naturally. It is something that people work very hard to preserve. And so the systems and the measures and the strategies you put in place, these are the things that actually work to keep it as it is. So your measures on the port to control the importation of guns. I've gotten some reports of some things that are happening on the port, and it worries me, it frightens me. And my question would be, who else know what is happening? I am
know,
just
I know.
appealing to
Let me let
those
them
in
know.
authority.
Let them know. I know because I want nobody come and knock my door. I don't know.
I'm appealing to this administration, Sheldon. There's need for an urgent, even if you want to start with a task force. And again, I'm making the point, this is not a response for the Royal Grenada Police Force. I listened one member of the leadership of the Royal Grenada Police Force some months ago when there was an escalation in crime, and he himself said it. He said the issue of crime is not a police matter. It's a society matter. It's the whole Grenadian community. And you know what he went on to say? Very instructive. He went on to say in that press conference that I heard with my own ears, he said, as issues of unemployment and poverty and so on increases, you expect that crime would increase. And he was making that point not to make the administration look bad. I'm sure he wouldn't want to do that. He was making that point to make it very clear that this problem is not a Royal Grenada Police Force problem, or an administration must not just dump the situation of crime and violence in the lap of the Royal Grenada Police Force, because by themselves it would be impossible, right? And when you have an administration that blames everybody else for every problem, then you know you're in serious trouble. You
Indeed.
know you are in serious trouble. So when you hear ministers of government speaking about gun violence, and rather than speaking about the strategies that the government would put in place to address the problem, rather than that, they are blaming the court system. I've never heard of anything like this in my lifetime. That a government minister speaking on the subject of crime and violence is literally saying it is not the responsibility of the cabinet and the government. The court needs to do more. The magistrates need to do more. The judiciary needs to do more, in other words. And I'm saying something has gone fundamentally wrong in this country when people who sit in government leading this country don't understand that that is their responsibility. It is a serious situation that we're in. Leadership is what matters in times like these. Leadership, and leadership from the top. So the government should be the one pulling in the members of the judiciary, pulling in members of the senior hierarchy of the Royal Grenada Police Force, right? Civil society, the churches, leadership would call all of these key people and say, hey, we have a problem that is escalating. Let us find a solution. Let us put a plan in place to address this. So the judiciary, your role is this. Police, your role is this. Church, your role is this. Come on, report back to us in 1 month. Let us know how you're going with your role. There must be leadership that give guidance to the response to this situation. Else people are just going to continue to do what they want, when they want, how they want, and we still end up at square one.
Honorable
It has to be
political
coordinated.
Honorable political leader, I know we could speak on crime for the rest of the night, but I know your time is limited and we have quite a lot to speak on. Well, not first one because we've just spoken about crime. The people of Cloget, they are still in dire straits as relation to their commute. There seems to be no clear guideline, end in sight, dates of anything happening. What have you been hearing of and from Cloget, and your views on what is taking place there right now? I haven't even heard if they've done the geological studies and those sort of things, but yet still you see tractor digging and you're hearing things collapsing and all sorts of things going on still. What have you heard?
Well, it's not just what I've heard. Residents of Cloget and surrounding areas have been sending me pictures, photographs, and they've also been doing the same with, I almost said the parliamentary representative, their former parliamentary representative, Brother Alvin Dabrio. And so they've been in communication with him, appealing to us, and this is just so unfortunate, appealing to us to appeal to the government on their behalf. Now, what I see in those photographs, it is unbelievable. And the photographs I saw today, I literally asked more than one person, because I got it from several person. I got them from several. I literally asked each individual, are you sure that those photographs were taken today? Well, they can't all be telling untruth. Sheldon, I cannot understand. Number one, the level of danger on this site, it's beyond my understanding how it is that the government has not yet put a system to ensure that people can travel to and fro in a safe way. So, what I saw, and I would have shared with you some of the photographs that
I'm
I
I'm
saw today.
I'm showing them right now. Yeah.
Right. And because you see, sometimes when you speak, you want people to visualize what you're saying, right? And if you have them on the screen, because I'm not seeing your screen.
Yeah.
Now, I could understand why the government would have erected a sign saying, if you pass here, you're passing at your own risk. I can understand why they did that because the level of danger, the level of risk is so high. But you know what I don't understand? How the government could bring themselves to the point of putting up something like that rather than creating a safe passage for residents. Okay, now we appealed to the government to start a shuttle service, but Adabrio over and over called for a shuttle service. And they did start a shuttle service. But let us just be real for a moment, right? Now, if you go to the top side of where all of this is happening, and you take a shuttle from there, and you take that shuttle over to Mellows in Balthazar, I've been told by residents that you now have to take a bus from Balthazar or pay a transport from Balthazar to St. George's, right? Or if you go in, let's say you have to go to Grand Mall, for example, you get to the terminus in town, you take another bus, you pay another bus from there to Grand Mall. Now, apart from the increased cost to residents, let us just imagine, because I would have thought if you're doing a shuttle service, and that's the first thing that comes to mind when you think of a shuttle service, that during the day, at different intervals, there will be a transport leaving from there to Mellows, for example, or from Mellows to there, let's say 6 o'clock in the evening, 5 o'clock in the evening, whatever the case might be. So one resident explained to me that she would have to go from there to Mellows, take a bus from there to St. George's, but there isn't a shuttle to take her back home, right? And so if you miss that shuttle, it means that you have to now pass on that little piece of board that you're seeing in the pictures there and make your way. Hopefully, you don't slip and slide and go over, and make your way down so you can go from there to go off. Now, I'm saying the government fell short, seriously short, of ensuring the safety of the people of Cloche. And we are appealing to them that what is shown there cannot be acceptable. We are saying to the government, and we understand the cabinet is on vacation. So we're saying at least a small team of the cabinet can come off from vacation or do a Zoom or something and take some decisions in the interest of the people of Cloche. Because what I'm seeing there and what I heard as of today is unacceptable. If you care about people, you cannot allow them to function and operate under these conditions. And not only that, persons are now asking, and imagine they're asking us to ask the government. Now it should be the other way around. The government should be going to the people to explain these things, to ask, an update. How have things been going? Is there anything else that we can do to support you? What other issues are you facing? We now, what is the next concern of the community? That school is reopening in about 2 weeks, and not one word as yet as it relates to what would happen to students in Cloche. You would have thought that during this vacation, during this period, there would be conversations, discussions, and working out of solutions so that when the school term begin, there's a smooth transition into the activities as it relates to the students. So some persons are saying, okay, there's a community center up there. Maybe the small ones can do something in the community. No, people should not be just guessing, and wondering. And some people are worrying. I'm saying we're allowing the vacation to get right to the brink of its end before we start that conversation. This is a conversation that should have happened already so that people can begin to make the necessary preparations, right? With a very clear mind. And Sheldon, I'm appealing to the Member of Parliament for St. John's, the Prime Minister, the government of Grenada, the people of Cloche are crying out for attention and support.
But you're saying the member of parliament, as far as some of the people in Cloche are telling me, they don't seem to have a member of parliament because they haven't seen the individual since the prime minister's last visit, and they are extremely worried about what they are facing in the next 2 weeks when school reopens and the education of their young ones. What are they going to do in those situations? Because
So I
it's a sad
So,
one.
Sheldon, I took the opportunity to say this because I'm quite mindful that there are persons who record your program and things are pulled out of your program. So I'm hoping that somebody, it touches somebody's heart and they pull it out
We,
and they pass it on to the relevant persons. It is the reason why I mention it. But I've heard that concern as well.
well, we doesn't hide anything. We're the new national party. We have a program. It up there. They could take what they want out of it. Honorable Pair, moving on from Cloche, and I know the people from Cloche, they're sending their love to you right now in the WhatsApp and so on. And so we say a special good night to them. Outside of the Cloche situation, over a month ago, there was a serious life threatening event that took place within your constituency and in particular in Telescope. Several homes were damaged and so on. People were emotionally and physically traumatized. You had individuals that were injured during the entire thing. A report was promised. The Prime Minister was on his program, and a report in relation to what took place was promised. At this point, have you heard anything as Member of Parliament for the area, as leader of His Majesty's opposition? Have you heard anything in relation to a report either by the Gravel and Concrete Emulsion Corporation, Ministry of National Security, Royal Grenada Police Force, the fire department, anything, any report in relation to what took place there, why it took place, and measures to avoid a reoccurrence?
So let me say this. I had commended Gravel and Concrete for their quick response in accepting responsibility and committing to take responsibility for all the repairs and damages that was caused by the explosion. So publicly, I commended them for that, right? I received a message from an employee of the company, basically indicating that the manager will like to meet with me as the parliamentary representative, and I expressed interest in facilitating that. And it appears that there's been a change of heart on that matter. That's all I'll say with regards to that. Um, in terms of the immediate response, I think I shared with you before, there are some residents who lost their televisions, and those, generally speaking, were replaced, as far as I'm aware, right? persons who lost windows and doors, for example. In many cases, those were replaced, right? And again, I did commend Gravel and Concrete for their response. Let me say, as it relates to those matters, I am still very concerned, right? I am still very concerned that the people who would have suffered major damages, and I'm talking whether structural, concrete, different issues as it relates to build the buildings itself, concrete buildings. I'm concerned that I've had in the last few days several complaints of persons who have not gotten any response that gives them comfort, right? In one case, the individual is very disappointed that someone who's supposed to have come to him has not done so in weeks. And in cases where phone calls are made, they are not being taken, and in some cases, no response, etc. And I just want to make this point that I'm extremely concerned as it relates to the persons where there are structural damages. So I'm not talking now about windows and doors, for example, right? In one case, there's a resident, I'm just using an example now, where the pillars were seriously damaged, right? Of course, these are things that people would be very concerned about. A roof damage, these would be things people are very concerned about. A window is probably very easy to just put a piece of board, or a door or something. But when it comes to your roof, mindful that things happen as it relates to the weather at times when we least expect it. When you're talking about your foundation, when you're talking about your pillars, those are areas that would draw even greater concern. And I want to appeal to Gravel and Concrete here that the persons who are supposed to be following up on those cases, that they need to be supervised, maybe. I don't know. But there is some weaknesses. There's a dropping of the ball somewhere. And I'm choosing my words very carefully because as it relates to Gravel and Concrete and the response, I want to be as soft as I can on this because, as I said, I've seen some activities in that regard, but it is just too slow as it relates to these category of homeowners, right? And I'm disappointed that it is not moving faster and that people are not getting the kind of responses that they were promised after the first visit, right? So this is what I want to say as it relates to the houses and the repairs, right? The issue of the psychosocial, the hearing, and all of that, I'm also disappointed that this needs to be done so that all residents in the area would be included. So there was a session, apart from the session that was done by my office, right? I'm not even adding that into this equation that I speak of now. But officially, we need to engage experts, right? We need to engage experts, not in a session where the majority of the community was not aware, right? And I want to make that second point. But the third point I want to make as it relates to this explosion, I cannot understand, Sheldon. It is almost 2 months since this explosion took place. And the people of this country, the residents of this community, are yet to have an official statement from the Minister of National Security, the government of Grenada, as it relates to what transpired on that particular day and what is going to be put in place or what has been put in place to ensure that you don't have a reoccurrence of this situation. Now, I understand that the investigation took less than a week. That's my understanding. As a matter of fact, there have been hints provided of the content of the report on social media and in the newspaper. I consider it a total disrespect to the people of Telescope and to the people of Grenada that there has not been a formal statement by the government as it relates to the findings of the investigation. This, to me, is a total disrespect. It's almost saying you don't need to know, right? So, as it relates to the investigation, I understand that this was completed within a week. We are now going on 2 months and not one official statement from the government on this matter. And don't tell me that gravel and concrete is responsible for this. As a matter of fact, they can't investigate their own self. And they must not be. I would not respect any report coming from gravel and concrete on this matter because they should be part of the investigation itself, not the investigators, right? So I am not sure what is the reason. Is it that you don't care about people or you don't have enough respect for them to report back to them on this matter? What is it? So I'm appealing to the Minister for National Security to provide the general public with the report, the findings of the report on this particular matter. Let us go to what is said in the public domain. Now, we're told in the public domain, reported by a newspaper and somebody in the field of media, and I don't know if this is a precursor to the report. So let's see how people would respond to this. And then we probably put out the full report. Well, if you're going to say, and maybe it's the reason why this report cannot be published. If you're going to say that you're holding an employee responsible for what would have happened, and that an employee must take responsibility, then it confirms further that we have a leadership crisis in this country. Because a junior officer cannot be held responsible for a national security issue. A junior officer cannot be held accountable, right? Something of this nature is too serious to tell me that some little fella on the site is who is responsible. Well, then somebody has to now add a section to the report to explain, well, how is it that this junior officer, this guy who was there, how did he come into contact with the explosives, for example? Somebody would have to explain another section of report that speaks to, for example, all of the deficiencies and all of the things that took place during the process of transporting the so-called explosives to Telescope. The report would have to tell us why did we move unstable, and I'm quoting the Prime Minister now, why did we move unstable explosive from Point Celine to Telescope? And how did it ever get into the hand of a junior officer, a junior staffer? What are the protocols as it relates to transporting explosives? Do you know how serious this is, Sheldon? What are the protocols for getting rid of explosives? Do you know how serious this is? So, what is being shared in the public domain? I really wonder what is the motive of what was said in the public domain. And I anxiously await the official report and the content of the report. But let me just make this additional point. Now, I would also be interested in knowing from this report, was it actually explosives from Point Celine that went off on that day? Or was it anything that was stored on site on the conditions that a report was provided to Gravel and Concrete almost 1 year ago about the high risk level of the storage at that site in Telescope and the threat that it posed for those who were trespassers, those who were on site, and persons within the vicinity in that community. Was it actually an explosion from that building where certain things were stored with no ventilation, that the management of Gravel and Concrete was notified of almost a year ago that something needed to be done urgently? I would love to see the report, Sheldon. And I'm not sure why a simple report like this is taking almost 2 years, two months. Sorry, it feels like 2 years.
Well, it
Almost
might
two
very well
months.
take 2 years. It may
No, I
very
don't
well.
think they will be so serious.
No, no, no. It might take two
But I'm
years.
I'm I'm making the point. The people deserve answers on this. And then let us go one step further. Let us go one step further. Is it a case where there are even more serious things that were identified in this report a year ago of not just the Telescope site, but other sites? And the question is, are some of the recommendations from a year ago still not acted upon? I hope somebody from Gravel and Concrete and the government of Grenada is listening right now and would want to quickly go back to the report that was provided about a year ago and to study the recommendations, to study the issues that were flagged as critical, as danger, and would want to do something immediately to address it. And that is why I'm saying we can't play with people's lives like that, because you're putting the life of workers on the line. You're putting the lives of persons who are trespassing, people who just pass through the area from time to time, which brings the point of security, right? And you put in the people who are residents within the vicinity of those sites, you also put in their lives at risk.
But Honorable Pear,
And
I
so,
consider it as well. You're putting the lives of all Grenadians at risk because if you've got explosives and we don't know the situation in which they are secured, people with bad intentions, if it falls into their hands, we have no idea what can be taking place. So we don't even know if it is being secured properly. We don't know if it's being transported properly. So outside of the it may explode during transportation aspect of it, there's the aspect of, are you keeping it in a place outside of the SSU now? Are you keeping it in a place or transporting it in a way that is secure, that no bad actors can try to get their hands on it? And we hear nothing about any of that. It's just left out in the open there. Believe what you want, and it seems as though they believe this issue will die and nobody will be speaking about it again. They're probably surprised we're speaking about it tonight.
and that is why, Sheldon, I want to flag something I think you missed. Because I don't want us to just speak about explosives. I want us to also speak about chemicals that are stored at different sites under conditions that could lead to an explosion. I'm talking about permanent storage. So I'm not talking now about some explosives transported from one site to another for whatever reason. But it also includes chemicals. You know what happens when there's a chemical reaction and what can happen out of that?
People saw that in Lebanon some years ago where it leveled the
Okay.
port and part of the town.
And they're innocent people working within those conditions. And so we're saying two things here. The report is absolutely necessary, right? You have to account to people. People have a right to know, right? But I'm also flagging tonight that about a year ago, there was an inspection that identified some serious weaknesses that needed urgent attention. And as a result of this explosion, I am now wondering what steps and actions have been taken to address those recommendations and to reduce the level of risk to people's lives. And from my understanding, very little was done. As a matter of fact, I would be very surprised if many of the people who are supposed to know about this report are even aware of this report.
Indeed.
We got to take the lives of people a bit more serious when it comes to those issues.
And national security. Honorable
Mhm.
Pierre, yes, again, I'm going to repeat. I know your time is limited, and I want to get through because it's been 2 weeks, and we have various issues. I do not want us, though, to forget the those bills that were brought before Parliament, because as far as we know at this point in time, it is still a situation where those bills are active. Those bills, the age of civil responsibility amendment, the marriage amendment, and the status of children's bills, those bills are still active. They got their first reading in Parliament. I know they may be brought back to Parliament. Consultation on them was promised. Have you or the opposition at all been contacted in relation to any sort of discussions in relation to these bills? Have you all had interactions in relation to it? Have you all heard of a schedule, anything in relation to those bills?
So the answer is no on all the questions that you ask. Um, Let me say this. Number one, it's my understanding that we're on a parliamentary recess. It means, therefore, that those bills would have died a natural death, right?
Prorogation.
And with the reopening of Parliament, the government would have to bring back those bills to get it back on the order paper, right? Now, I would trust that good sense would prevail, and that based on the level of concern and the level of distress, the level of frustration coming out of the tabling of those of, well, I'll speak specific to the age of civil legal responsibility, specifically that one. The distress that this has caused to parents and people who really care about children, I would trust that the government would never ever consider bringing this back to the parliament unless it has seriously addressed the issues and the concern of the general public. And I'm not just talking here about parents, but people who don't even have children are concerned about this and the implication, not just for children, but for society, right? So, one, it's dead. Two, I'm appealing to them, do not bring it back until the general public is satisfied with the content of what is brought back to Parliament. And as an opposition, we're not going to sit and wait on the government to engage. We're not going to sit and wait to bring awareness to the people as it relates to the content of this bill. You know what is surprising? Rather than trying to explain, right? Rather than trying to meet and sit with people, you get a kind of arrogant defense that really worries you. You know, is it a situation where, well, not a situation where you think, I've heard it said, we have the majority, we are in power. So let's just pass it. Let's just do what we have to do. People have to be led sometimes. That is why we are elected to lead people. Well, to lead them not down the wrong road. not to destruction, right? And that is why sometimes those who are leading deserve to be led, right? And I'm making the point to say that on this subject matter, that is definitely not leadership, because something that hits to the core of your society, the culture, it hits to the core of our spiritual values. You can't just shove that down and push that down a nation's throat. It requires a higher level of consultation than other regular bills would require. And so that kind of leadership, of course, we ought to know, is not acceptable. That kind of leadership, we don't deserve that kind of leadership. We deserve leadership that understand that when things are serious and can affect the moral fabric, the social fabric, the spiritual fabric of our society, that it requires the involvement and the engagement of key stakeholders within the society to guide the decisions, the policies of government. And that is why the grassroots approach, the bottom up approach, is what is absolutely necessary for policies of this nature, laws of this nature, right? And I'm appealing to government that that particular bill that was brought will not ever come back to the parliament until key stakeholders in this country would have had their views, their concerns addressed and reflected in a revised version. So we are all supportive of protecting children. While we believe that there are existing laws that were passed in parliament to protect children, Child Protection Act is an example. We believe that there are laws that already exist that could be strengthened, to cater for cases of abuse, etc., etc. But we are still saying if you feel that you need a new law, by all means do that, but let us make sure that who people in our society who need to be involved in the formulation of this bill before it gets into law, that they are actively involved in the process. So you cannot speak about consultation when no one could remember even having a discussion on the matter. This is ridiculous, you know. It is crazy. You are saying that we had extensive, not just consultation, you're telling us that you had extensive consultation on a matter. But no stakeholder can say that they were part of a conversation on the matter that you are bringing to Parliament, on the matter that concerns most people. So there are some people who clearly stated, they really don't care, whatever the government choose to do, they correct and we don't have a problem. They can take us over a cliff and it's no problem. There are people like that and I respect them. You don't care if you're drunk, just, support the party you love by all means necessary. There are people like, let's respect them. But there are more of us. There are more of us who understand that supporting a party don't mean that you have to put your own life at risk and the life of the entire nation at risk. And that we are prepared, even when we support a party, to say to our party, we don't agree with this because it's not in the best interest of the society. There are more of us who believe that, right? So we respect those who don't care. And we are saying that there are sufficient people who care, that will stand up and ensure that this bill in its current form does not get passed in the Parliament of Grenada. And I want to make the point also that as an opposition, we are convening a stakeholder session where we are going to be having conversations and discussion, presentations, discussion on this particular bill that was brought. Well, it doesn't exist right now, but there's a parliament session slated for September. And I want to repeat this. There's a parliament session that is scheduled for September. As a result of that, we have to be prepared. If this administration was prepared to pass a bill like that in one sitting, so normally, let me explain this because some persons may not understand. There are some bills that take several sittings, could be two, to be passed. Because on the first time it's brought, the government may say, okay, let's have public consultation on this. Let's think about this some more, come back and let us then take a decision on it. In this case, with such serious implications for our children and our society, the government was prepared to pass it in one sitting. And choosing a time when they know that members of the opposition were supposed to be out of Ireland. So I guess the expectation was to put it on a day when we won't even have any debate on it, right? I literally cancelled a trip that I had to do that same day. I was supposed to travel that same day. I didn't even share this with my colleagues. I was supposed to travel to Trinidad on that same day. And I decided not to go because already one other member of the opposition was going to be out, another member of the opposition was going to be out. And I thought there's no way that we can miss Parliament when something like that is coming and we don't have an opportunity. And we made the point before that if it comes and is going through all the stages, the opposition will not treat this lightly. That was only when the government decided, the day before, decided that they are just going to take this for first reading. I personally called the Prime Minister, myself, on behalf of the opposition team, to express our deep concern and that we were not going to treat this lightly if it came to go through all of the stages. This is how concerned we are. And we're not just concerned because we feel concerned. Numerous calls, people were calling morning, noon, and night on this bill that they were just hearing about by the way. So imagine the general public was not even made aware that something like this was going to go to Parliament. It was when we brought it to the public attention that people became aware. And so I believe it's on the 28th of this month. I want to give you the exact date that we will be having, in collaboration with a few civil society organizations and individuals, a forum as it relates to this particular bill. This is organized by His Majesty's opposition. This is not a political activity. It is an activity to discuss this particular matter, hearing from different stakeholders their views on this. So it's not just the views of members of the opposition. There will be presentations by other stakeholders, and it's going to be from 1 p.m. at the National Stadium on Thursday, the 28th of August. Thursday, the 28th of August. And we are going to be discussing this particular bill. As a matter of fact, let me make the point. The conclusion of our discussions, we will be sharing with the government the conclusion of the discussions that will take place there. So we consider this to be very important and in the interests of the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique.
So, as it is right now, the next move, in this case by His Majesty's opposition, will be consultation in relation to this bill. Giving people
Right,
information, people giving their views, and so
Right.
on in relation to it.
And one of the reasons that we take this very seriously, as I said, the government is preparing to come back to Parliament in September. I understand the intention is to bring back this bill in its current form. I've listened to the defense put up by members who represent persons who represent the government, and listening to the defense, it is not a response that says, hey, we are willing to listen to you and we are willing to make necessary changes. It is a response in defense of whatever is there. And we have a problem. We have a serious problem with that. If you're consulting with people, if you're engaging with people, you want to listen with an objective mind. You want to have an open mind, but you're not going there with a mind to defend your paper. It's like you're going to defend your thesis or something. So you want to make sure everything in there, that they believe everything that you say that's in there. No, we are saying people have concerns, serious concerns, and what we want the government to do is to have an open mind to the views and the concerns of people, with an open mind that says we are prepared to make adjustments, because this is not an NDC Grenada. This is a Grenada for Grenadians. And so the views and concerns of Grenadians must be taken into consideration when laws are being passed. This is a democratic country still. This is still a democratic country, and the views of people matters. Where are the people who said let people's voices be heard? Where are they in 2020? Was this just a campaign to win an election? Let the people's voices be heard? Well, what is happening now strays very far away from the concept of democracy and the fight for people's voices to be heard. As a matter of fact, some persons who shouted for people's voices to be heard back then, you cannot even hear them right now. They have gone totally silent. And that raises the question, how comfortable do we feel about the democracy that we live in? I'll leave that point right there.
Honorable Pair, I keep saying that I know you're to run off, but I keep asking more questions. But there's one final one that I must ask about before I let you run off, and that is in relation to the recent move by the U.S. State Department to revoke the visas of several key government personnel, senior government personnel, as regards what the U.S. claims is the situation regarding the Cuban medical team in Grenada. And as I pointed out on the program last week to some folks, it's not one or two people we're talking about here. We're talking about significant numbers of people providing very much needed service within the Grenadian healthcare system. And then we hear the various statements from government ministers. You in a recent broadcast did state that the government needs to use strategic diplomacy, as you called it, in an issue like this. Give us a little insight into your views on what has happened here and what should be done in a situation like this.
So let's start with your point about strategic diplomacy, and I want to start there. Now, we understand very much the value and the role, the contributions that Cuba has made to the development of Grenada over the years consistently, right? And let us just start. Only this evening, I brought someone to one of our Cuba trained doctors, right? So we understand the contributions, the sacrifices. Let me put it this way, the sacrifices. I've been to Cuba, and I can speak to the sacrifices they make to have their people provide certain support and opportunities that our people, our Grenadian students, medical students, can go there and access an education at that level and to come back to serve our country. So it's undisputable the contribution that Cuba has made to the development of Grenada. I mean, we're not even going back tonight to the role in the building of the Morris Bishop International Airport and all of that. I think we all know and we highly appreciate the contributions that Cuba has made over the years. I remember after the historic visit of Dr. the Right Honorable Keith Mitchell to Cuba, reestablishing relations and friendship with the government and people of Cuba, it opened up far more opportunities than I believe we even had before. As I'm recalling now as I'm saying that a trip that was made by officials from Grenada after. So the door was opened, and I remember going to Cuba on a second occasion along with him. And I heard before that of the speeches of Fidel Castro. It was a graduation where several of our young Grenadians were graduating as medical doctors. And I could not believe that I sat there and I listened to a speech for 2 hours.
That's Fidel. Yeah.
2 hours, right? And I saw, the appreciation and the friendship demonstrated even when the president at the time engaged our prime minister then and the delegation from Grenada. Now, all that being said, Sheldon, I believe what we have been able over the years to do is to demonstrate strategic diplomacy, balanced diplomacy, where we understand that Cuba is our friend, but we also have a very important relationship with the government and people of the United States of America. And we are very open to say to the United States, what is it we support? What is it we don't support? What is it we agree with? What is it we don't agree with? So we have openly stated our position on the embargo, for example, right? So our friends know our position on various matters. So I don't have to be your enemy, right? I don't have to be your enemy because my friend is your enemy, right? When you get into diplomacy and you get into those relationships, what you are thinking about first and foremost is your country. And that is why it's important to maintain good relationship with various countries, right? And there are some countries that would tell you they have diplomatic relationship with all these countries in the world. And one of the things they would tell you, listen to some of the ambassadors when they speak, we don't get involved in internal matters, right? We don't get involved in internal matters, but they are able to establish relationships with all different countries around the world, right? Now, I believe the United States of America is very clear on Grenada's position back then under our administration as it relates to how we value and how we see Cuba and how we feel about certain issues as it relates to Cuba. Does that affect our relationship with the United States of America, where Grenada stands to benefit when it comes to trade, when it comes to so many other areas that are critical for the development of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique? So it means that elements, whether it be proactive engagement, for example, building relationship, the issue of ensuring that there is um, relationship where there's understanding, mutual understanding. All of those things are so very critical. And guess what? There was no issue in the past. There's no issue in the past that we can say resulted in a situation like what we are experiencing now. And let us not analyze, but let us look a little closer at what's existing now. Coincidentally, coincidentally, earlier today, I had a visit from a representative of the US government, right? I had Cindy Dioff, the new principal officer of the US Embassy in St. George's, visited my office today to pay a courtesy call, right? And as I sat down, guess what came to my mind? And that is why government has to understand that when these situations are not managed, the ordinary man on the ground become concerned. The ordinary man become concerned about how these things affect them. So even if the restrictions apply to government officials and their families, it never says Grenadians in general. So you're not affected by this. But you know what's going to be going through your mind? Boy, I wonder if it's going to be expanded to include me. So imagine yesterday, as I stepped out of a vehicle in Bylands, a young man who came to engage me. You know, that was the first question he asked me, raising concern about what would be the implication of the current impasse, the current situation that exists as it relates to this matter, right? Fortunately, as I said, fortunately, coincidentally, it was not something that came out of this particular matter. In the meeting, I raised the issue of some persons, of course, quite obviously, would be concerned, right? And it was re emphasized, it was very clearly stated that the restriction has and doesn't intend to have anything to do with ordinary citizens of Grenada, Carriacou, and PT Martinique at this time. And it is simply, specifically, government officials and their families, right?
But again, they said at this time.
And we can only work with at this time, which is why at this time, our government should be engaging in discussions, negotiations, engagements for fruitful outcome. Now, I am not sure how it's going to help us when certain statements are being made, in my opinion, very loosely, right? With no diplomacy at all. And maybe we can backtrack a couple months ago when members of the government said publicly that they don't really care if they lose their visa, right? They don't really care if they lose their visa. And when I first heard it, the person speaking said they don't have to go to America. They don't really care. And when I first heard it, I thought to myself, what about Grenadians? How do they feel? We heard how you feel personally as a member of the government. That's your personal, private feeling. But how many Grenadians feel that way? And whose feelings should you be representing? Because the average Grenadian here have family in the United States, have close friends in the United States that they would want to visit from time to time. Not only that, there are Grenadians here who are involved in the farm labor program in the United States of America, and they go every year. Some of them, they build their homes and their families based on that program. So when you say, Lucy, you don't care if they take your visa, we don't have access to go to America. Well, you need to qualify that and say that this is your personal view, and it really doesn't reflect the views of ordinary Grenadians or Grenadians in general. But you thought, well, this was a couple months ago, and that, persons are beginning to realize that, hey, we got to be diplomatic. There's an issue. Let's sit with those who have the issues, let's sit with those concerned, and let us work out something where everybody generally benefits from this. Considering the number of persons from the United States who come to Grenada at the St. George's University School of Medicine, and there's so much different issues that needs consideration, remittances from the United States to Grenada. And we may feel, well, okay, we are big and we're in charge, and who cares about that? That's not important. But you see, let us be real. And being realistic is so important. Being realistic, and that's all I'll say about that. I was going to make a further statement, but being realistic is sometimes very important. And when I saw today an additional statement that was made by the government on this matter, I thought to myself, okay, this looks like it has the potential to deteriorate further. And I hope that Grenadians in general don't get affected by any further decisions, because diplomats, officials are supposed to be handling and managing things in a way that represent a level of diplomacy. So you're not supposed to be dealing with this matter, making comments all over the media, social media, because guess what? In case you don't know, they're reading. And if you're speaking to them on social media, they're interpreting that in a particular way. So, how about an official request for a meeting to sit and express certain opinions and views of the government and the people, as opposed to spitting out all of those comments in social media that I'm not asking you, that I know people are reading in certain places and they are forming an opinion of Grenada based on the comments that are made by persons who are supposed to be diplomats.
It's interesting as well, though, that while the US has been signaling that there's a possibility of them taking this action, and they signaled that possibility since the beginning of the year, as soon as the administration came in, literally within weeks, they were signaling that this was a move that they would be willing to make if certain changes were not made. We had that meeting that took place in Washington, D.C. The Prime Minister attended with the same Marco Rubio and so on, and other regional leaders came back. No report in relation to what was discussed there. You had the meeting with Marco Rubio in Jamaica that several regional leaders attended. I don't think our own Prime Minister attended, where the issue of the Cuban medical brigades were discussed again. And now you recognize, while Grenada's Prime Minister did not attend, I don't know if the Foreign Minister or anybody else attended, Grenada is the only country in the region outside of Cuba itself that is mentioned in these sanctions. No other OECS territory, which also have Cuban personnel in their healthcare systems, nobody else is mentioned. Only Grenada. It tells a story.
I got a call from an opposition leader in another country. And he called me to ask me what's happening. Why was Grenada singled out in this way? And well, of course, I don't think he genuinely expected a response from me. But it just says to you that people are looking on and they're observing. And I think that our administration need to act in a responsible way, right? Whether it is to provide evidence against the claims made, whether it is to explain what is being done and why what is being done has been done, and whether it is to make requests of those who are making the sanctions and to say, well, this is our vulnerability, these are our weaknesses, these are our shortcomings. Well, we would need you to step up and to assist us further in this area or that area. You approach the thing in a strategic way, in a structured way, that you can't win this battle by making comments, wild comments, and statements, irresponsible in some cases, on social media. You can't. So when you say to the United States, for example, well, you could say what you want, but we must attend the United Nations meeting. It's like saying to me, well, you could do whatever you want, but I'll be coming to the bathroom in your house. I have the key to to my house. I can lock when I want to lock, and I can give you restricted access if I need to give you restricted access, right? So I can lock my bedroom door, I can put a bolt on it. So even if you come in my house, you won't be able to access my bedroom. We got to be thinking this thing in a in a very realistic way, right? We have to be thinking this thing realistically, and we can't just love something and decide because we love something so much, we just don't care about anything else. And as I said when I started, let's not trivialize the important role that Cuba has played over the years in Grenada's development. But I am saying that the new National Party administration, recognizing that, has been able to also recognize the contribution of the United States of America to Grenada. And because we recognize both as partners in development, we have been able to maintain successfully a good relationship with both countries. That is the essence of all that I'm saying. And we are saying that this administration needs to now take a page from that book. I am sure Dr. Mitchell will tell you that he has had several conversations with the United States of America on different issues. You can't be too big to talk to people. You can't be too big to respond to their concerns. You can't be too big to respond to the concerns. It's like having a brother or sister or mother or father or husband, and I mean your family. And this is just an analogy here. And they have concern, and you can't just say, I'm not listening, I don't care. What kind of family relationship would that be? How
Yes,
do you
indeed.
expect to function together? How do you expect to work together? Unless you sit and discuss and dialogue and find solution, raise concerns, it's okay, debate over the issues, whatever has to be done. But let us do that at the table in a professional manner. And if the government needs to recruit advisors and persons with the competent skills for negotiating and dialoguing at that level, then do so, and not bring embarrassment to the country in that way.
Indeed. Honorable Emlyn Pierre, we are nearly out of time for the program. Any closing statements to the listeners tonight?
So I would close by saying, on top of all that we've spoken about, Sheldon, and there are just so many issues of concerns nationally, because of all that we have discussed tonight, we have not gotten to the point, and it was not slated for discussions because we've done so before. And of course, there'll be several opportunities. But I can't leave without mentioning the fact that two of the most critical issues affecting people in this country, the cost of living and healthcare, we have not seen any significant action by this administration to turn things around, to address, and I'm talking about serious actions. So, as it relates to cost of living, it continues to rise, and we've done it before, post COVID, when the government of Grenada took some specific measures aimed at reducing the cost of living. It's of significant concern. It would always be a concern to us that the government would have removed most of those measures. and not just remove those measures, but they've taken actions, policy decisions of their own. So, not imported inflation. They have taken actions to further compound the situation. And we are continuing to appeal to the administration that there's urgent need for direct intervention to address the rising cost of living. The issue of healthcare, we continue to call on government that specific urgent actions need to be taken. And we're not talking about building a teaching hospital in the next 5 years. We're not talking about that. We're talking about specific intervention that would address the important urgent issues. So we're not even talking about a contract for over $1 million with Mount Sinai. We're not even talking about that. $7 million per year, because these things are not going to immediately address the real issues affecting ordinary men and women in Grenada who don't have a health insurance, who can't take a plane to go to New York if they have a medical problem. And so tonight I empathize on behalf of our party, empathize with the people who are seriously affected by these two issues, which happens to be most Grenadians, unfortunately. And to say to them, as a party, we stand with you. We are prepared to continue to defend the people of this country and to stand with them as we prepare ourselves for governance, as we prepare ourselves to ensure that these issues will be addressed in a very serious way, bringing relief to people who are really struggling out there with the high cost of living, and to really address the issues as we have been doing as it relates to healthcare. And of course, finally tonight, Sheldon, to say to the people of St. Andrews Southeast, a special good night. And they know, and I continue to say to them how much I appreciate their love and support. And to all the people of Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit, let us continue to move forward with a Grenada for all. New National Party don't subscribe to the philosophy that this must be an NNP country or NDC country. We want a Grenada for all. And this is what we are prepared to do for the people of this country, where every Grenadian, regardless of your political affiliation, can thrive. A Grenada for Grenadians, and united Grenada for Grenadians. So good night to you, good night to your viewers and your listeners.
Indeed. Honorable Emlyn Perry, we want to thank you so very much for taking the time to be on with us tonight. I know that you've had quite a rough day today. That's why I thought I would have actually caught you still on the road tonight. But we want to thank you so very much for being on with us. And indeed, we look forward to our interaction next week, Monday, again. And we look forward also for those of you who are in St. Andrew to meet up with you on Wednesday at that meeting in Bylands.
Of course, definitely.
Indeed.
Definitely.
You have a wonderful night. All right.
Good night to you.
All right. Yes, indeed, folks. We are speaking there with Leader of His Majesty's Opposition, the Honorable Emlyn Perry. And indeed, it has been a wonderful one. Quite a bit there. You heard us speaking on the issue of closure. You heard us speaking on the issue of crime. You've heard her speaking on the issue of that bill, those bills, and the fact that the New National Party will be holding a consultation on the 28th, Thursday the 28th of this month, yes, of August, will be holding a consultation in relation to that. Not the New National Party, sorry. Let me make it clear. His Majesty's Opposition, they're two different organizations. His Majesty's Opposition will be holding that meeting, that forum, to discuss and to hear from folks about those particular bills and to take that information back to the government afterwards. You've also heard Honorable Pierce speaking in relation to the issue of the telescope situation and what has obtained. Honorable Pierce is the Member of Parliament for that area. She is the Member of Parliament, and up to this point in time, the 18th day of August, no information is forthcoming in relation to what occurred, how it occurred, and the guarantees that nothing even close to that will occur again. But we await to hear what will be taking place. Folks, that's all the time we have for Talking Points tonight. It's been wonderful being here with you, and everything you say and do it safe and secure. We'll be speaking to and with you and not about you. Do enjoy the rest of your night tonight. I am out.